It depends on. I've lost my background. I've lost my
Green's
background.
back.
I know why I've lost my background. I hate technology. I hate technology. I wish we had a really good, audio lead in, but boom. This is the special episode of Star Wipes.
I'm sure
Jeff-
Rachel will up with something.
I hope
sorry,
she
I didn't know you were
does.
recording.
It's okay. I don't care. We're going to keep it. We're going to do it live, which is what we're doing. I'm Jeff Greenberg. I am Greenysmac. This is Reddit. This is the pre-NAB special. With me as always, and I hope for always, it's my dear friend Michael Kammes. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Nada, what's a crack-a-lackin'? I'm doing all right. I'm in that totally that pre-NAB panic. I don't know about you. We're just going to go two up. We're not going to look at any websites. We're just going to talk. How you doing in the pre-NAB moments, my friend?
The same as you. It's, there's courses each of us are teaching. There's meetings that all we're taking. There's appointments and people to interview. So it's we're trying to organize the insane number of thoughts for each of those things into something coherent so you don't forget them. And that's kind of where I'm in right now, which is I know I'm going to forget something. Let me write this down. And I'm just going to have, 100 different sticky notes all over the place.
Hey, God, I know I'm keeping some stuff. I'm using mostly like drafts. I got stuff in Trello that I'm trying to move around. It's ugly as hell. It's too many talks, too much stuff. I have some jealousy about the people who go and just are experiencing it and are experiencing it for the first thing. Before we get much deeper, what's NAB? Why don't we tell the 5 faithful in the audience who are actually listening to this and have no idea what NAB is?
It's the annual reboot. It's the biggest media and entertainment and broadcast gathering of the year. NAB is the National Association of Broadcasters. Little known fact that the NAB trade show is just one part of NAB. People seem to think that NAB is just the trade show. It's not. But this is obviously the jewel in the crown. And you could expect anywhere between 45,000 and 90,000 folks to descend upon Las Vegas for 4 or 5 days of debauchery and tech.
Is that, by the way, is that your over-under, 45 to 90?
Well, 90 was the peak prior to the pandemic, and
Oh, no,
I believe
it was like a 110, wasn't it?
I don't think it's been over 100 in several years.
Right.
Every year it declines a little bit, but during the last years, I think it was closer to 50. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's somewhere between 45 and 90.
That's a good over-under. The way I like to describe it is it's where you can actually go and meet legit somebody from Adobe, and or Blackmagic or Avid or that small little, if you look deep enough, that small little plugin manufacturer with the knowledge that they're going to listen to you and they right now miss getting together because, Zoom fatigue is a thing.
Do you know there's going to be over 1,700 exhibitors?
That's crazy. That's great. That's still down, but it's still fantastic.
So when you say you get to talk to the people, you do, but you also get to talk to the other creatives in the industry or the other tech folks in the industry. So it's not just, hey, I have a tech question. It's let me collaborate and meet these people who, maybe I've watched their YouTube channel or maybe they're working for a network that you like. You get to meet all of these different people and then not only meet them, but also then go to parties and learn from one another.
There's nothing quite like the actual high seeing people you haven't seen. These are like what I described to my wife. A lot of them are professional. They're actual friends, but a lot of them are professional friends. And this is the best chance I have to see them. If you're listening to this and hopefully you're hearing it before the event, before Sunday, if you live like in that West Coast area, that LA area, you could probably drive there still and get a hotel for pretty cheap. We've got a thread. That thread, if you message me, I'll give you a link to the Telegram group because I'm trying to. On Sunday night, there's a party, part of the content creator party. I should get some free Reddit passes, which means somebody's going to be buying you a drink. At least I'm hoping, Michael, to get Zellen in at least to the Telegram group, if not to the actual party. Bob Zellin, who may or may not be our patron saint of our editors. What do you think?
Saint or devil? I think it's one day he's going to be on this shoulder, the other day he's going to be on this shoulder. It really depends.
I love that. I could also go with he could be the. Do you remember? I forget what the Cult of Bob.
I'm not familiar.
That there's a whole, somebody I'm sure will correct me. There's a whole sort of part of the Illuminati sort of thing that Bob Zellin would fit in well with. So we know what an NAB is. If you're coming, we're glad to meet you. Would love to meet you. Regardless of NAB, you and I are veterans of trade shows. What would be your biggest set of tips? And if you're flashing in and out, that'll be part of the recording. Who knows if it'll show up? We're trying some new tech here. Not new tech, but new tech. It's the first time I've ever found new tech in a sentence like that for me. What would be your biggest tip for the show?
Sleep. And I mean this because if you're going on the show floor and you're using the show floor as a way to meet folks, not only at the booth, but also creatives, you have to be on your A game. And if you're not getting enough sleep or you're showing up hungover, which is another thing you shouldn't do, don't get ripped, especially the first night. That's a rookie mistake. It's get enough sleep because you want to make sure not to squander any of the opportunities you have with meeting folks. And at least for me, I need that good night's sleep. So when I wake up, I'm functioning. I'm firing all cylinders.
Do you have a hungover story? Because I have one that's. I'll keep it short, but it's epic.
Yeah, I'm not repeating any of those here.
I'm going to repeat one of mine. So ready for this?
Sure.
It's like 0708. I'm teaching color, Apple's color, and you can, for whatever reason, very specific hardware reasons, they could get it to run. You needed 2 screens. They could get it to run on 2 flats on 2 projectors, but not 2 projectors and 2 flats. And I crazily, insanely, I've got to teach a 3-hour class on this tool that nobody's opened. I have them put the computer in the middle of the room, so I'm sitting as if I'm the audience. Table's flat, and because these software is dark, they got to turn out the lights. And I come in for this 3-hour class, and I am legit tired, hungover. Not headache, just 8 cylinders, so only 7 are firing. And everything's going great, and I can't find how to turn on a secondary thing. And I'm getting people shouting out from the crowd, have you tried this button or that button? And I'm like, yeah, I'm right there, buddy. I got it. I know. But legit, it was fantastic. Yeah, definitely drink a lot of water. That's my magic trick with alcohol is for every single drink, I'm going to drink 12 ounces of water. And if it means I need to visit the men's room a lot, it's probably better that way, and that I stay hydrated.
Speaking of water, whenever you're on a show floor, they will gouge you, right? So you want to get that sandwich that's been frozen and then thawed out, or any kind of that horrible food you're going to get at a trade show. Water, they're going to charge you $5 for a bottle of water. So I'm a big fan of carrying a water bottle or buying a $5 bottle of water and then refilling it at a drinking fountain, just so you're not constantly paying for that. Plus, if you're holding on to it or it's strapped to your backpack or something, it's kind of a constant reminder, it's there, I should have some. So I'm a big fan of finding those ways to stay easily hydrated.
That's phenomenal. I'll go with the obvious 2. One is wear your most comfortable shoes. I literally bought a new pair of black sneakers with some green accents because green's always the right answer. That's right. And I legit started wearing them today. And all I'm going to do is wear them for the next couple of days so they're broken in. They feel authentic.
I'm drawing a blank on who recommended it, but I know there are some folks who bring Epsom salt, and at the end of the day, will soak their feet at the hotel room, so they're kind of loosened up a little bit to keep going throughout the week. And hey, I can't fault that, because if your feet aren't working at the show, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's a painful experience, And with shoes and walking goes the other one, Michael. You're going to be, if this is your first time or not, and you go, hey, I see where I'm trying to go. It's right there. Don't walk. Don't walk. take that Uber, take that cab. It looks like it's that the problem is everything in Vegas is built strangely with weird architecture. It's further away. 40 minutes later, you're still walking to that hotel, and then you got to walk 20 minutes inside the casino. Yeah.
It's getting to the casinos. Oh my. So I have some tips for that. So first, if you're staying at a hotel that's on the strip to go to NAB, quite often in the morning, they will have buses. Those buses will take you to NAB. Sometimes the buses stop at multiple hotels on the way there, but you then don't have to get a cab or an Uber or a Lyft. Why does that suck? Because everyone else is trying to get a cab or a Lyft or an Uber to NAB, and you're all going to be stuck in the same traffic. So a big fan of getting up a little bit early, taking that bus, and have the bus take you to the show floor.
Or monorail.
Or monorail. The tram is fantastic. You do have to navigate within the hotels a bit, which can be a pain. But and it's not the cheapest thing because you have to buy a ticket for the tram, but buy it in advance, a week worth of trips is great. I also find that speaking of travel, if you're going to be on the show floor, obviously the shortest route between two places is a direct line. But think about going the outside of the floor or of the perimeter of the floor. That way you could get to where you're going, go around, and that will cut down your time. Also, obviously, we're still, dealing with the effects of COVID, and some folks are sick. And granted, they shouldn't be sick if they're coming to the show floor. But do you want to walk through tens of thousands of people to get to that booth when you can spend an extra 30 seconds just going to the perimeter and walking around? So I recommend that.
That's phenomenal. I'll throw in here, the NAB app itself has been amazing for me, both in trying to look up where a given booth is. And in recent years, Michael, the GPS system on it works well enough that it can drive you to like exactly where the booth you're looking for, that thing you're looking for. It saved my bacon a couple times. I just want to knock out the rest of the things. I'm a big fan of saying go to the parties, but maybe avoid the mega parties. It used to be the AJA party was the biggest party, and I would go to it, Michael, and be in a room of people who were having a great time, not being able to talk to anybody, throbbing in my ears. Yeah.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So I'll have to redact some names, but folks who've been in the industry for a while know this. AGA used to have just raging parties, and it wasn't like, frat boy club. It was actually club DJ, loud music, a lot of beautiful people there. And there were some folks who probably made their living, escorting people around at NAB. We'll leave it at that. And there was high traffic of folks at these parties that probably weren't there for the convention, right? We'll leave it at that. So there got to be this kind of joke of the industry that there's folks at the various parties that were trying to solicit picking up people. And so it became kind of like an industry joke, like not that AJA, planted them or paid them, but that, hey, this was an opportunity to make some money, right? So there was someone in the industry, an integrator, we'll leave it at that, that got an invite or a summary, right? Come to our party this year. And for whatever reason, this integrator decided to hit reply all and make comments in line about, the kind of people that were crashing these parties and just making really dumb, kind of sophomoric accusations and just riffing. And it wasn't that funny, but it was the reply all. So this integrator, pardon the expression, shit all over AJA and then sent that out to the entire database that got it. So there was a mea culpa. There was some apologies.
Wow.
And I don't think that's happened since then. But that was that day all of us looked at our emails, and all of us, at least the company I was looking at, all just at the same time kind of walked out of our offices and said, "Did you see that? Did you see what they said?"
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. I'll see if I can find it and share it with you.
I generally, on the idea of that the professionals come out, I generally explain to people who are newer to Vegas, if you're walking through a casino and generally if some woman says hi and smiles at you, she's a professional. It's kind of like listen. I'm over the age where anybody goes, wow, that's a great looking guy. That's just right. If I'm walking through a casino and I get that smile and nod, and she's under the age of 30, I'm not exactly comfortable with the rest of the conversation.
As someone who lives in LA, there are obviously folks that live in LA and that for the weekend will fly out to Vegas to party or whatever. But this has happened twice where I've gotten on that hour-long flight from Burbank to Vegas, and you see women all dolled up like, hey, they're going to a party tonight, right? And then I've seen them at parties, right? And then I've seen them on the flight back. So you know exactly what they're going there to do. And then when they come back, and it's like, wow, talk about efficiency. You know, you got to hand it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you've got breakfast.
I've got a lot more. I've got a lot more tips.
A lot more. What? Yeah. Let's throw through a couple more. And then I want to really get to the fun meat. And this is, coming up after this is, we'll have to pause because we don't have our cool graphics working right now. But I want to talk about what we're excited about, what we're trying to dread. But go ahead. Let's do the rest of our tips.
I made the very bad mistake of having a shoulder bag, and that shoulder bag would have a laptop and stuff like that. Yeah, I know, and that I learned very quickly. Don't do that. If you're gonna have a bag, have it be a backpack, right? And have not just on one arm, but over both. But if you can, avoid taking a bag to the show floor. I wear blazers quite a bit, and I make sure the blazers I have pockets. So those pockets I can have business cards, gum and Altoids, always have those. I also always say have a pen so you can write on business cards what you discussed with someone. But go ahead.
Well, before we get to the pen and business card stuff, I got a deeper question for you, which is, at what point do you need like a hand cart for your equipment? Because I'm looking at like the amount of stuff I'm carrying this year. I have a rolling bag. It's a really great little rolling bag. But I got to tell you, like, if it wasn't for that rolling bag, I would be just dead in the water given how much gear. Because I'm doing a bunch of talks and I need like this piece of gear for this talk and that piece of gear for that talk. Like, it's a backpack or a rolling bag, no satchels. I assume you're bringing a laptop, right?
In previous years, when I was working at Keycode Media, I wouldn't be demoing, right? I'd be there as someone who was taking meetings and learning about new tech. But now that I'm at Shift, I have to demo. And we have a booth, but there's some things on my laptop that, NDA, things I can't just have sitting somewhere. So I have to go and demo that. And so I'll need my laptop. And like you said, I'll need an adapter to go to HDMI to plug into a monitor in the suite or, so there's always...
I just lost my audio. Hold on a second. I think we're okay. Just, yeah. Nothing like tech, man. Come on back. Don't make me a liar.
Definitely have...
I want to connect back to those stupid AirPods. Come on, AirPods.
So we're cutting this out, I presume.
No, we're not. We're not cutting it out. We're going to leave it all in. I don't mind that there are tech issues. I hear you.
Your audio is now really odd.
Of course it is, because
are you coming to a mic?
Yeah, of course. And now my mic should be clean at least.
There you go.
Is that good? We're good?
Yep, much better.
Right. I know what happened is I touched hardware, and I made the mistake of touching hardware near me because I'm waiting for the doorman to show up with hardware I need.
Something else I recommend, this is a visual. I don't know if it works, but it makes me feel better, at least mentally. Airborne, right? There we go. Get that in focus. Airborne.
I'm trying to get, there you go. Oh, no, it's me. There you go. There's you.
There you go. Vitamin C. This is supposed to boost your immune system. It doesn't work after the fact. So if you get sick, this isn't going to help you. But I usually start a week prior. I take one of these tablets a day. And I have not gotten what we call the NAB plague in a good decade. Normally the plague we get on the plane back. So obviously I recommend masking up. But I take one of these every day, and then one every day on the show floor. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but it's a cheap insurance policy for me.
The only thing that I've got, and I'll tell you the trick, or at least one of the items. I mean, this is really you don't do this every day. Protecting, if you're doing any speaking, you got to really protect your voice. I end up sometimes, Michael, gargling with salt water just to help it out. And it's to a point where when I was a kid or even as an adult, I go, oh, that's just awful. Now it's just like, no, I'm going to do it. And it's going to make my throat feel better before I go to bed.
Actually, this year, I have so many meetings and I'm actually worried about that. So are you gargling with salt water at night?
Yeah.
And then, in the morning too, or just at night?
It depends on, I've lost my background. I've lost
Brings
my background.
back.
I know why I've lost my background. I hate technology.
I love that
goes.
green. It's like ectoplasm, like ecto cooler.
It has everything to do with, there's some keyboard command that I'm hitting that adds back that camera. So it's going to be hard. We'll have to pause before we go back to your ISO shot. It has more to do with, I end up gargling with salt water based on how I feel. So usually that first day or two, I haven't talked that hard, that long, that dry of air. I'll probably do it the first night and just see how I feel. I've lost my voice before and still had to talk. And those are the days where I'm gargling with it in the morning, at night. I'll, in between sessions, go and grab some salt. And it's gross as hell, but you get across the finish line. And that's the thing about NAB is it's very much a marathon, not a sprint.
So I think there's a couple more things. You had mentioned you wanted me to go back on the pen. I'm always a fan of carrying a pen because if you meet someone and you talk about this and that, at the end of the week, you're not going to remember. So taking their business card and using your pen and writing, we talked about X, Y, and Z. That's a good mental stimulation for you afterwards.
Don't do it in front of them. Ask me why.
Why shouldn't you do it in front of them, Jeff?
Because there are some cultures where the business card is an extension of who they are, which is why I grab cards with both hands and treat them always gently, regardless of what culture somebody is from. And while I'll write stuff down on a card, I'll do it when they can't see it because I don't want them to think I'm writing on their card if it's particularly got some cultural importance along those lines. I'm debating, Michael.
That's good.
I've not bought business cards since before the pandemic. I still have some left, but I think I'm going to go totally NFC QR code based. And I think one of the things I'll miss is, well, they won't be able to write down stuff from my card, but if they give me their card, I'll still be able to write down. Any thoughts of why it's a terrible idea? It's too late anyway, but it's going to be what I do. But you have any thoughts on it?
I like that reminder. I like when, in fact, I have business cards sitting on right in front of my computer here, and I like that reminder. I like that physical reminder. The whole out of sight, out of mind. See, I don't think we're at that point yet where, while technology may eliminate the need for business cards, the reminders that this gives me.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I'm going to, it'll be interesting to see what I come up with. What do you want to do? You want to do what you're excited about or what you're dreading?
Let's do what we're excited about.
All right.
And then we'll do what we're dreading.
I'm excited about AI. And for the record, you ever run into somebody and they talk about their favorite band or their favorite, fandom like Star Wars, and they don't consider the new people real fans. I consider AI one of the most important things we're coming across. I think the rest of the world is catching up to that, but I don't think somebody who's new to it is, and it got anything less than I have around AI. I've been talking about AI for about 4 or 5 years, and I'm just watching how fast it's come. I know a couple things that are getting announced. I'm sure there's 10 things that I don't know about that are getting announced. But they're all it's the AI stuff that I think that's going to save us time. I don't think it's going to put us out of work.
I wouldn't disagree with a majority of that. And I don't want this obviously to devolve into an AI conversation, but I think it's just going to be like HD and 4K and HDR and gluten free, right? Let's put the AI next to everything and help sell, right? So I think
100%.
everything's going to be AI powered, which is okay.
And fat free. And fat free.
And fat free. Human free and fat free. I think that what we're going to see, and I'm really torn on if this is a good thing or a bad thing, is that a lot of our contemporaries, the manufacturers, there's going to be a lot of softwares that people have been paying for that are going to be obsolete almost overnight because it's something you can automate with AI. So I think there's going to be a lot of manufacturers that we know and love that are going to see parts of their business dry up over the next few years. And so you can either look at that as that's revolutionary, or you can look at it as dreading as, wow, that was their whole business model is automating X, Y, and Z. And now, you're going to be able to do that relatively simply through either a local instance of AI or a cloud-based instance.
It's definitely going to be really professionally tumultuous is a good word. Tumultuous. It's going to have some waves to it. And I think that there will be certain parts of just work that is just not fun, that it automates. And then there will be certain pieces where it leaves groups out in the dust because they didn't foresee it coming. I hope that it's not a lot of groups. I would never wish somebody to become unemployed because of some new technology. But look, once upon a time, we had elevator operators. And I've been in several buildings, mostly in Manhattan over the last decade or so, where not only is there no elevator operator, there are no buttons on the inside of the elevator, Mike.
Here is what I'm expecting to see, because I think a lot of folks who are listening to this are like, great, AI, with blah, blah, blah. We've heard that. But I think folks are probably looking at kind of something tangible. What we're going to see this year, and of course, have to kind of talk around things, NDA and everything. But I think what you're going to see this year is a big push for the creative tools to be more extensible to these AI services. And what I mean by that is right now, if you were to do a face swap or a deep fake, that still is rather time consuming, and you kind of got to know what you're doing. But being able to do it because of the functionality built into your NLE to be able to talk to these remote things, right? Whether it be a panel in Adobe or a script in Resolve, the NLEs, once you have the ability to tap in to those APIs to talk to third parties, you're going to start to see not only an explosion of creation, but also bad actors who are using the extensibility of these NLEs and kind of widespread creative tools to manipulate content, and we don't have a way of trafficking or policing that effectively.
I think 100% we're going to have, the problem of voices. It's relatively, there's some really nice stuff. I heard there's a 5 things maybe in the work. Did you finish that one yet?
There may or may not be, but to your point, being able to select a clip on your timeline and select an in and out, and then programmatically being able to send that to a third-party service, either running locally or in the cloud, that will de-age, given a certain model, or be able to create narration based on a certain voice and then return that programmatically to the NLE. The what you can do from a creative standpoint is we can't even see the limits of that right now, where we are so in the nascent stage.
Oh, no. I mean, I agree with you, but I think some parts, like, to me, are very, very evident. I mean, the one that's going to be, at least in my head, we've got voice cloning here. It's here. The question is, are you paying enough, and is the model trained well enough? And there's some cost with it. I think that there's going to be a real problem for groups that can't have their data be analyzed or data leave their building. I think that NDA stuff, which makes it really fascinating that there will be these large corporations who want to use these technologies and won't be allowed to because of legal ramifications, that it's got to be all on premises, and not all these tools work on premises.
Oh, I think
go ahead.
There's 2 angles to that. It's we are definitely going to see the privatization of models as a revenue source. and
100%.
companies training their own models and being able to
100%.
sell that. But what you're also going to run into is companies like me. Like I work for Shift Media, who has a fantastic review and approve system and light asset management system. There's no way in hell we would ever fathom saying, let's use all the content that we have and scan it and build a model off it, right? So these large companies have this data, but right now they most likely don't have the right to access it and use it to train without getting permission from their users. So I think once we start seeing the privatization of models, and I think that also goes into the concept that right now we are paying a cloud provider to be our AI. And once we're able to localize that and run it in our own tenant, in our own cloud provider, or even run it on-prem and train it on-prem with data that we have access to, that's going to get really interesting because then the price drops massively.
The thing that I see that's low-hanging fruit, we take the voice, we have X number of seconds. This may be not this year, maybe next 18 to 24 months. But then I can take somebody who didn't say the right set of words and do enough facial analysis and lip analysis to get them to say the thing I needed on camera. Right now, we can fake my voice off camera. Getting to fake it on camera, that's like one of those dream items. What about you? What other things are you excited to look for? Aside from like what Adobe and Blackmagic, the big things, what's something that you're just dying to look for under the shelves?
Well, one of the things that was talked about a bunch at HPA, and I'm hoping kind of trickles down to the rest of the industry, is that for the past 10, 15 years, we've started adopting singular small programs to accomplish little tasks. And each of them have a subscription cost. And you look at your bill at the end of the month and you're paying 20 different services to accomplish one massive task, one complete workflow. And it's almost back to the what we used to do with cable television, right? You'd pay one price to get all these different channels. I'm expecting that we're going to start to see some consolidation and not just, hey, I'm going to buy up all of these and sell it, but
bundling of services.
Saying, look, I'm sorry?
Bundling of services.
Not just that, but since, on the AI tip is like, look, I can take and do 90% of what this independent company does and do it under my hood and sell it. And this is going to look great, especially in the economy we're in right now, where the people who are holding the purse strings are saying, look, I don't want to pay 20 subscriptions, but if I pay less to this one company that does 90% of everything, that makes a lot more sense in the books.
It does make a lot more sense. Have you've seen the app on the group called SetApp on the Mac?
No, I'm not familiar.
SETAPP. They basically have like 70 pieces of software and they sell you a subscription. I don't know if they monitor, I don't know how they cut up that pie, but SetApp is quite the little bargain. It's got, it's got sometimes the best of something. And a lot of times that's something good. Interestingly, I go each time, like I come across something I go, hey, wait, it's part of SetApp. I go look, and if I can find 3 tools in there that I would want, I'd pay for it. But I own most of the tools that I wanted from it already. I think that bundling will be big. I also think it's really interesting as groups try and, I look at that Blackmagic model versus the Adobe model. Here's Blackmagic, everything's under a single double-click application, and Adobe, everything's broken apart. But I think all of Adobe's tools have a lot more, sometimes inconsistent, but have a lot more intricacy, have a lot more faster development capability individually compared to Blackmagic, where it's got to be everything every time an update occurs. It'll be interesting. It'll be where I would most like more bundling is around plugins. That I could get the best of 4 or 5 different like audio, maybe audio and video. I'll be very curious to see if like a tool farm figures out a subscription model of something like that.
I'm really concerned about that. This has just happened over the past few weeks, is that Waves, right, who is the leading audio plugin provider for a long time before Isotope came along, recently said they were transitioning to a subscription model when it had traditionally been you buy it model. And the blowback was swift. And I think within 24 or 48 hours, they completely reversed course and said, oh, we're sorry, we didn't listen to you well enough. didn't ask them.
I'll tell you who didn't. I'll tell you who didn't get that benefit is Filmic Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Filmic Pro, an iPhone app for shooting, which, by the way, it is a breathtaking app, but they just went subscription-based, and they're getting a hell of a pushback, and I don't know what their numbers are like. There's at least one group I know out there that competes with them, too. One of the things that makes Filmic kind of wild, if you weren't aware of it, Michael. I make that mistake only once, right? Then I'm Jesk.
Jesk.
Right, Michael, the thing that I think is really interesting is Filmic Pro has they've got a real, like a Filmic log, so they can try and capture more of those iOS sensors. But they also can shoot camera in the cloud directly to the Adobe workflows. And they're locking a lot of things behind their, hey, we're glad you were subscribed, we're glad you paid for us for the product, but now we're going to Model 7. We're going subscription-based. I really wish somebody would keep a scorecard of pre versus post subscription and how those numbers changed from, like, say, a 3-year process for these companies. I understand why we have subscription. I get the returning revenue model and how it flattens out the curve and everything goes with it. But man, all I do every time I click, all I'm looking for is, like, what new drag are you going to make to my checkbook?
Yeah. Agreed.
So is there other stuff we're excited about, or can we use that drag on our checkbook to take us over to what are we dreading?
I think that's a good segue because both suck.
So, all right, the obvious is the bathrooms. They get really gross as the day progresses.
My God. South, I know we're not using South Hall Lower anymore, but that's its own circle of hell. And I'm glad I'm glad we no longer have to deal with that. I'm sure North Hall will be somewhat like that. I highly recommend that you maybe walk to one of the less traveled halls and try and use one of their bathrooms, because the most heavily trafficked ones are just, they defy.
Prior to the pandemic, my favorite tip along those lines for any human being is, if you wanted to go to the cleanest bathroom you've ever seen, go to your local hospital and go to the second floor. Because the second floor, they were cleaned regularly, they were disinfected. I would hope, of course, you wouldn't go to any place that, you might bring something. But that sort of idea that you would go somewhere and go to that. I've stopped at a hotel more than once because I know the hotel bathroom is just going to be infinitely cleaner than like a service station or a convenience store. And with kids, that's just like a dread. It's just a dread.
Well, if you want to hoof it, the hotel that is closest to the show floor is the Renaissance, or the Ren, if you like speaking like that.
My favorite hotel.
The Ren also has a ton of NAB people there having dealer meetings, vendor meetings, suites. I know Shift Media has a suite, so I'd expect those bathrooms to be cleaner, but not as clean as they would be during a normally traffic day.
Yeah, I begged for that hotel, begged, and couldn't get it. It's my favorite place to stay. Although with South Hall's being closed, North Hall's this year, I'm a little bit closer to North Hall, so that's not terrible. We did Losing a Voice. I'll be very curious to see what we hear announced, especially announced out of desperation. I don't know who it'll be, but somebody every year announces something that just never shows up.
Vapor. The joke in the industry used to be announce at NAB, ship at IBC, because you wanted to see if people were actually interested at NAB, right? Engineers and marketing, well, I should say sales and marketing lead the engineering, and you just get a prototype or something done for NAB. But NAB is kind of the proving grounds of, do all our assumptions, to all the experts who said we should do X, Y, and Z, is that going to translate? Let's show it at NAB, and hopefully people are into it. But the amount of products that or concepts that are announced at NAB and never become reality is staggering.
It's staggering.
It is. And so I'm interested to see what's, especially since the AI landscape, not to bring it back to AI, but that it's changing weekly, and there's no hyperbole there, that anything that folks are announcing with AI is going to be radically changed in another quarter or two. which may make
It'll
the
certainly be a
announcement.
very interesting thing to look at. Hey, we're running at the 40-minute mark. Even if Rachel cuts out stuff, let's begin to wrap here. I will mention we've got a Reddit thread if you want to join it. That Reddit thread specifically will be how to become part of the Telegram link if you're going. We're going to have probably a pre-built thread or a pre-built set of threads. I'll probably, like Michael, whoever does the first announcement about like what Adobe is dropping, I'll probably just make that the Adobe thread rather than having 9 threads about each announcement. Where can people find you at NAB?
I've wrestled with a way to do this, and I can't, post my schedule for obvious reasons, and being at a booth for 15 or 20 minutes just isn't worth it. So if anyone wants to meet, just tag me on social media, whether it be Twitter or
where can they tag you?
Facebook or Instagram or Mastodon, and I'll be checking my phone quite a bit, and we can interact directly there. I don't think there's much of an easier way to do that.
That's a great answer. I'll also go with that, but I tend to really turn off my digital distraction device as much as I can until I get those like little slivers of sanity. Because if I'm actually using my phone during a talk, I'll be spending a bucket of time at Post-Production World, which is somewhere in North Halls. I've got 4 different times where I'm doing something on the show floor itself. For that, there's a set of hands-on classes. The one I'm doing, or at least one of the ones I'm doing, is going to be about color correction. I may be in Altion's booth a little bit. I might be in PostLab's booth talking about ColorLab.ai. It's a group I'm involved with. The Telegram group, though, is probably the best way if you're looking for me. And the way to get to that group, it's a private group that we're going to have. If you go to the NAB thread, that's where it'll get posted. It'll get mentioned also when this goes live. Other than that, my friend, anything, we're going to leave on the 2-shot here. Anything left that you want to add to our comment for today?
I'm looking forward to seeing you in person, Jeff. It's been a couple years, and I'm looking for that Greenberg bear hug, and I'm looking forward to talking in person.
I'm looking forward to buying you a drink, my friend. Whatever the libation is currently, I'm sure it's a good whiskey or rye.
Indeed it will. A dram or two would be nice.
Let's have a dram. For those of you who are coming, there's a party as well Sunday night. There'll be other events. Please join us. Thanks for watching. This is, of course, the Art Editors NAB special.